Excellent. So, and I'm serious when I said this is a really great panel. We have a few of the panelists who have actually started companies, sold them to great companies. So that experience we have on the panel. We have at least one hands-on DevOps practitioner on the panel. I'll let you guys decide who that is. And we have a lot of leading vendors who come from the background and solve that pain point every day. So with that said, my first question is going to be, I would love for them to introduce themselves, which companies they come from, and a point of view on DevOps they bring to the table. So let's start with you, Sudhakar.
Hi, good afternoon everybody. Hello, good afternoon. No one like it. My name is Muddu Sudhakar, and I'm an entrepreneur and investor in the companies, and look forward to talking to you today in the panel. Thank you.
You want to talk about your POV for DevOps?
Sure, anytime with you.
All right. Okay. Yeah, my name is Kalyan Ramanathan. I'm the VP of Marketing for a company called Sumo Logic.
Hi, I'm Bharat Ranjan. I run cloud data center networking for ServiceNow.
And hi, I'm Brad Johnson. I run product marketing for a company called CloudBees. We're a company behind a little project called Jenkins.
Excellent. Since they didn't give a point of view, I'm going to extract it from them. Yes. I'll start with Brad this time. Brad, I know you guys have done a lot of things to help a real hands-on practitioner out there, especially being the company behind Jenkins. You just had a major event and announcement too. So you want to get into a little bit of what point of view CloudBees brings in DevOps automation?
Yeah, and if you don't mind, I'll add a little my point of view as well. So I mean, CloudBees is a company that really is the leader in DevOps orchestration, and that is largely supported by I joke, this little project called Jenkins, which for the last 10 years has grown well over 30% every year. It's not slowing down. Jenkins has 20 million jobs running today. That's a 66% increase over last year. And what that means is that well over 4 million engineers in the world right now are running more jobs this year than last year, which is an amazing indicator that continuous delivery is growing. It's very real. I'll actually mention that the number of implementations has only grown by about 22% this year. That might sound bad, but if you contrast that to there's growth in how many Jenkins implementations are running and more growth in how many jobs are running on all those implementations, it's an indicator of people are moving faster and faster and faster, and development is actually going very well with DevOps. So CloudBees builds governance, visibility, and security on top of these massive scale CD pipelines inside of in companies all over the world, and that's the core value prop that CloudBees brings. Companies growing very, very quickly, 100% last year, 80%, 100% the year before last, 80% last year, and we've tripled in employees over the last year that I've been there, the last 2 years that I've been there.
Thank you, Brad.
Yep, you bet.
At ServiceNow, in case you don't know, we provide a platform for IT, DevOps, and many other things. One of the unique things about my role is not only do I work for a company that provides that, I run data centers and networking, so I'm a consumer of that. My team uses our platform for DevOps. If you look back in sort of time, right, Dev and Ops came from opposite ends of the spectrum and what they were asked to do in their function, but it was a shotgun marriage. Somebody said, hey, it's a great idea. You guys live in the same house, now you're married to each other, but that doesn't mean you're compatible. In fact, probably means you're not. What was needed was a platform that made that compatibility happen, and what that means is the love that Ops needed to not feel like a second-class citizen in the light of Dev had to come about because of some commonality. And platform like ServiceNow brought that together by saying, yes, people who develop create, but people who operate are now part of that cycle as well, and it unified the two. Thank you.
Great. Hey, Kalyan.
All right. Again, Kalyan Ramanathan. I work for a company called Sumo Logic. For those of you who don't know, we are a AWS-based service, and what we do is to help our customers manage the operations and security of their applications. We run on AWS. We've been running on AWS for the last 8 years now. We are a DevOps shop ourselves. I don't run DevOps, but we are a DevOps shop. And I have a very simple POV for DevOps. It's DevOps or bust, right? For the entrepreneurs here, if you want to build a company in the cloud, get in with the program, right? If you don't have DevOps, there's no hope of you to, compete in the marketplace. For any engineers here who are looking to get a job in the next-gen companies like Airbnb, Twitter, namely, Grammarly, Cruise Automation, I mean, there's no other way to deliver software. For them, DevOps is not even a process or a technology or a best practices. It is just a way of life. So, this is just a way of nature in cloud-first companies, companies like ourselves, and 80% of the companies that we serve today. So, if you need jobs or if you want to build good companies, this is the way to go.
Thank you, Kalyan. Sudhakar?
Okay, thank you. So my views are a little different than the other panelists. So let me see, given that you guys are entrepreneurs here, I focus on where to make money, right? We're all here for that on Saturday afternoon. So given that, I think, look, DevOps as you think of it will change in the next 5 years. So let's talk about how it will change. One is, most of the DevOps roles will be gone. My prediction will be is 80% of DevOps roles will be fully automated. Like you call it like level 5 autonomous car, there's no reason IT operations and DevOps should not be automated. I call it level 5 autonomous DevOps level, right? So given that's going to happen, what's going to happen? Data needs to be there. All the companies that you see who are selling DevOps tools today, they're software companies. They're not data companies. They're not even AI companies, right? So they're all a bunch of software guys writing software tools to run DevOps. They don't use data to do it. So data runs DevOps and DevOps runs business today. So given that trend, how do you use data to do it, and how do you make these decision engines and replace an average DevOps engineer in SRE? That hasn't been done before. So next 5 years, if I think, my prediction is most of the DevOps companies will be gone out of the business, there'll be few will survive, and those will be highly data-driven companies.
Great, thank you.
So I made the case that everybody should go to DevOps, and he says, there's no job in DevOps.
Yes, go find some other job, not DevOps.
It's a perspective. 1
That's
year,
right.
2 years, 10 years, right?
So are we bringing good controversy in this panel already? Yeah, there we go.
Great. So no controversy in this one. The theme of the event is AI. So the next question I have for the panelists is, what's the role of AI and machine learning that you see today in DevOps, and what do you see as the prediction for that particular technology in DevOps? Let's start with Brad first.
Okay, I think so. The road to AI is BI and machine learning, and ultimately kind of systems that learn and change on their own. So one of the big trends that we've seen in DevOps is the collection of data about pipelines, and then applying machine learning and business intelligence algorithms to all of that incoming data. So if you're looking at pipelines that integrate with dozens of different tools, with hundreds of different people on tens of different teams, all that information gives amazing insight into the velocity of the software development chain and the value stream that companies are looking at bringing value to market. So for DevOps, one real clear road for AI, it's 5 years away, I gotta be honest, but it's looking at all that data, figuring out then not only what is the best path to building that stuff and getting it out quickly, but even looking at who are the best developers, what are the best teams, what microservices are the best performing from a consumer standpoint or a user standpoint. And so machine learning applied to DevOps will absolutely drive the pipeline as we move forward.
Great. Bharat?
And I think those two is going to keep evolving. What I talk about the platform, actually make dev and ops actually one word, right? DevOps, not just dev and ops. And what I mean by that is machine learning is going to help ops on the resolution of issues, right? It's going to learn that I saw this issue 5 times. Here's how the engineer resolved it. This time I can do it. So as you see more and more of those models being built, you'll see the number of common outages goes down. So your engineers actually evolve to higher order bits, solving the more complex problems, while machine learning solves the basic problems or stuff that repeats itself. AI, on the other hand, is going to help massively with correlation and also the intelligence of what you've built. I'll give a real world example, right? We had an issue where we had these optic failures throughout our network, but they weren't enough to cause alarm 20-something. AI on our platform, which is heavily being invested in, figured out that all these optics were from one manufacturer, manufactured within 3 months of each other, and sourced from Malaysia. We fed that back to our vendors, who all came back and said, oh wow, you guys discovered something that our vendor didn't know about, that they had a bad batch of 10,000 optics. So that's something an engineer probably would not have picked up on because they would have solved that discrete use case and gone on. AI, on the other hand, looks far beyond that, and using this massive trove of data that you have gives you intelligent signals out of it that you can actually do something with it.
Great.
Yeah, I think it's a great point, and just to add to what Bharat and Brad just said, right? Look, at the end of the day, data is the foundation of DevOps. That's how you improve DevOps. But DevOps has become a big data problem, right? I mean, when you think about the entire CI/CD pipeline, all the way from plan to build to code to release to operate and whatever else, every one of this phase is generating a lot of data. And if you are actually, releasing your applications, very quickly, which is what happens in most DevOps companies, you are generating a lot of data. The approach to, identifying what is, there's a lot of noise in this data at the end of the day, right? Some of this data is just random data. You don't care about it. But there are some signals in this data that you need to extract from this data. And that's really where machine learning and AI comes in. I'll give you a simple example from our point of view. We are a log management company. That's the DNA and heritage of this company. I'm sure everybody here who's a developer knows that you turn on a machine, turn on logs, you're going to get tens of thousands of logs. Now, what do I do with these logs, right? What out of those logs is actually a signal that I need to pay attention to? This is where machine learning comes in. Apply some clustering technologies. And you will quickly figure out that there are 10 patterns of logs here. And perhaps that one pattern among those 10 is what I need to focus on, because that's an anomaly that I didn't see before, right? So that's where it's a very practical example of machine learning applied to this big data problem that enables you to identify a problem, perhaps help you get to the root cause of the problem. And that's really what, where AI and ML starts to, make sense.
I think Sudhakar will have a different view.
I hope so. So look, my view is a little different, as you're saying, but here is think of it. So let's stop and pause and think about where it's going to happen. The reason infrastructure and apps used to be fully separated, what happened in the last 5 years is infrastructure and apps, the line got blurred. So they're all almost like they're intertwined. So when apps and infrastructure, so like that goes back to what AppDynamics is doing, like Cisco, AppDynamics, UCS, we're all part of the same BU for a good reason, right? So that infrastructure and application performance, they're all going to be tied together. So that's one trend is going to happen. Second thing is most of these companies that we are talking about are built around human beings. You're assuming there is a role called IT admin, there's an SRE, there's a DevOps. I'm saying there won't be a guy or a girl in that role, gone. There'll be a robot. So what's going to happen? So robots will be using those things, but somebody got to tune these robots. That will be the roles of DevOps. So if you are out there trying to create companies, your job is to create robots or the tools for the tuners. You don't need 1,000 tuners in every company. The problem with all these companies which have the data centers and running them, the number of operation people are in hundreds and thousands. How many tuners do you need? That's a question people are asking me as investor and board members, right? If your trading is automated, right? All of your 401k and all your accounts are being automated. Your e-commerce and ad tech is automated. Cyber security, last 4 years, a lot of things are automated. Why is in IT ops, operation, DevOps, we are talking about human beings? So if you have it as the way the cloud vendors are going, take Amazon, take Azure, take Google, right? GCP guys. Those guys will be the first guys to operate from operations all the way to DevOps. They cannot afford to run those things at their margins with the human beings. So that is what I want you guys to think about where the opportunities will be. That eliminate the tuners. The tuners will be only tens of people.
It's a great point of view. I just want to remind guys, if you have questions, you can actually get a lot more out of the panel. So let's go with the first question on the panel. Prashant, hold on. Is the mic on?
Hello?
Yeah.
Hi, this is Prashant Honawali. So my question is in terms of the DevOps SRE kind of self-healing continuum, right? So where do we see that? Because with the AI machine learning coming in and kind of making it more predictive, self-healing, self-correcting, just like our autonomous cars that Madhu was talking about, like how far are we from making that possible?
I'll take that question. So we are at level 0, guys. That's horrible how we are. I mean, today in Bay Area, you have Waymo to Tesla, all these guys have some autopilot. We are before autopilot mode right now in DevOps. We are at level -1 and level 0. As I look at all the companies, there's no automation, right? First you need to monitor, do health monitoring is not fully automated. There's a human being watching the dashboards. That to me sucks, right? You need a human being operating that, so that needs to be automated, right? So take for example, monitoring, detection, then able to root cause analysis. Who is doing the root cause analysis? Human being is doing that. Like the example somebody mentioned about some optical component. I don't think a human beings need to do that, right? An algorithm should be able to do that. So that becomes a root cause analysis. Then proposing the solution, recommending to the point taking the orchestration, right? So I call it orchestration, automation, all the way to fully closing it to make the system down. If something doesn't work, what does a human being do? Reset the button. I don't need a human being to do that. The robot can do that. Restart your application. It fixes all your problem, right? So all of that needs to be automated. It can be done. You don't need 5 years as Brad is talking about. There has to be a will. And the will be is your business model is going to force you to do it. The moment you need 1 quarter of bad revenue or a loss for a company, then they'll start looking at this. Right now we're in a boom curve for last 10 years, so people are being really fat. The moment the market gets correction and 1 bad quarter loss, hundreds of these jobs will be lost and people will start correcting it.
Yeah, I mean, I think I have a slightly different viewpoint there. I think the primitives for making all these things exist today, right? You know, like Muddu said, right? I mean, you can monitor things, you can automate things, you can even, you know, automatically initiate a fix if need be. The part of the challenge has been that culturally we are still not ready to do that end-to-end cycle without a human, you know, being involved in that loop. I mean, which company here, you know, would actually say, you know what, if I see a problem in a mission-critical application, you know, just go bring a database down, make some changes, and, you know, roll it back in. I mean,
AWS will do that.
That is true. Now, where it is changing, I mean, I'm sure many of you guys out here know Kubernetes, right? So Kubernetes is coming from Google, which has taken a very different approach to it. What they've said is that all these point approaches to managing containers, setting up containers, provision, setting up configurations, monitoring the configurations, you know, even to Muddu's point, you know, restarting a container or a pod if something doesn't work well. I mean, that's all now part of the Kubernetes ecosystem, right? I mean, that's why we have all this buzz about Kubernetes and how it's going to change the IT world as we know it today. So I think things are happening. There's still some cultural backlog here, but I don't think we're too far away from it.
So just to contrast, let me just go on that. So one point that I want to make there is, if you look at the cloud guys, what they're doing, to Kalyan's point, they're actually giving you all the toolkits. So if you are looking at AWS, Google, and Azure, again, I keep repeating these mega vendors. I call them the aircraft carriers. They're actually providing you everything for you to build a fully IT operations DevOps solution on them. So for the applications that are built on the cloud, for the cloud, you don't need the rest of the companies that have operated for the last 10, 20 years. Mm-hmm. That's what you should think about. That's where you make money. That's where all the dollars will go.
Thank you, Sudhakar. Bharat?
Yeah, I have a slightly different opinion because I live in the DevOps world. I agree. I do think that the lower order functions will relentlessly become higher and higher, where people will have to evolve, and you probably won't need thousands of people. But where I disagree is, when an enterprise customer is down at 2 a.m., they don't give a shit what kind of AI you have, what kind of machine learning you have, what kind of automated recovery you have. What they want to know is, fix my issue. And for that, they want to talk to a human being. They don't want to talk to an AI. They don't want to talk to a bot. They don't want to email you. They want a human being that says, I have your back. I am working on your issue right now. That'll never go away, because until companies become fully automated, you will have to deal with human beings. Which is why, even after all this automation, all this AI, why does Google have outages today? Why does AWS go down? Because machines fail, and when machines fail, a human needs to respond to the people who are paying your money to exist.
I mean, that's response, Bharat. I mean, that is not the actual process of identifying the issue, triaging the issue, and fixing the issue.
Yes, but
sure. I mean, at the end of the day,
human.
I know. When you call me when there's a problem, yes. I know I need to pick up the phone and address your concerns. But on the back end, I don't need 2,000 engineers.
Fair enough.
That's the point.
Clearly, that was a great question. We have another question lined up here.
Well, let me make one point on that. So I agree I actually agree with everyone. What's interesting is that I don't agree that we're at -1 from self-healing systems. I think we've got the fundamentals are in place. I think don't underestimate Kubernetes. I just want to state that I would challenge anyone on this panel in this room to tell me another technology that appeared 3 years ago and took over the market and became the winner for orchestration. Any technology like this, I've never seen it in my career, and I'm 20 years in, right? The thing about a cloud provider being the winner, I don't buy it. I don't buy it because all cloud providers have voted yes for Kubernetes, but we still deal with companies that, this week I was in New York, and 100% of the 115 people in the room that I was talking to about CD were not doing DevOps, right? So there's a long way to go in the marketplace for large organizations, right? They are going to choose their cloud platform based on the fact that they've got 50% of their developers are on Microsoft, so they're going to go to Azure, right? You know, they've got a huge footprint on-prem with Red Hat. They're going to go to OpenShift, right? So the fact is there's going to be a bunch of vendors. There are no best of breed. There isn't a whole cadre of best of breed tools yet, so we're a long way from having all that consolidation happen, but it's going to begin. So the point I'm going at with Kubernetes is that what it gives you on all of the cloud platforms is the ability to have an operational infrastructure plus application that can come up instantly when there's a failure. And I think that's awfully close to self-healing, but it's not there yet. Right?
Thank you, Brad. Let's take a question.
Yeah, hello. My name is Sohag Desai. I'm in a company called Viome, which applies machine learning and AI to the human microbiome.
Speak up a little.
Okay. I don't know if you heard that part, but so my question is, you all talked about applying AI machine learning to improve DevOps, but I have a slightly different ask of you all to elaborate on companies such as mine, which have AI and machine learning as part of their back-end processes. And our CTO calls incorporating the training and the operations aspect of AI and machine learning as AI ops or train ops. Mm-hmm. So could you all speak about companies of today which have AI machine learning backends and how to incorporate that into the DevOps pipeline? Thank you.
I can go. So you brought up a good point, right? If you look at the IT operations market, this whole thing is under a magic quadrant in Gartner called ITOM. Yeah. Some people call it IT operations market. It's like $40 billion. And Gartner created a new market guide called AI Ops. That's what you're referring to. So that includes everything. DevOps is just a small piece. DevSecOps is another small piece. The whole area that if you're part of AI Ops is, can you automate every piece of that function? That is discovery, service mapping, orchestration, operation intelligence, event management, log management, all of that will be operated. Key there is, as the name says, AI Ops there's no IT anymore. IT is a bad word. DevOps is a bad word. It's called, it's a no ops kind of thing, right? AI Ops, I keep going at. I know Brad is talking about all the companies that he met in East Coast. I call it, it's a decreasing TAM. As an investor, I don't want to talk to them. Mainframe still exists. Does not mean I'm going to put my money on that. Right? So he's talking about companies which will be there, will be doing manually. Yeah, sure, there'll be always some Tom, Dick, and Harry will going to be there, going to be doing that. Does not mean that people want to be there.
Well,
that's not where
they're the companies that are, well, they are the companies that are going to be spending $10 billion over the next couple of years.
Cloud is going to run you. Cloud is a $40 billion market today, guys. I mean, whatever Kubernetes is, I don't see Kubernetes made even 4 million revenue in a year. So Kubernetes is going to survive. It's an orchestration, but just a small piece. Let's not forget the big trend. The mega cloud vendors are going to do 50 billion in revenue today. Do you think they're going to run this thing with the human beings that these guys are talking about? No way, no how. They're not going to operate everything. Look at Andy Jassy or AWS guys or Diana Green at Google Cloud or Satya doing with Azure. 90% of their operation have to be operated for them to make money. So there's no human being. They have to operate like he's talking about on the AOps. Every phase of operation will be automated. So there's an opportunity for all of you guys to create companies. So don't look at all of us. It's you guys can do this. Find a hole, automate that function, and that will be owned by these mega vendors. Apart from these 3 mega vendors, maybe 1 or 2 may survive. As I said, when the dust settles 5 years from now, there'll be maybe 4 or 5 companies will do it. Every mega vendors will have their own AI operations, maybe 1 or 2, maybe Cisco, maybe 1 more person, that's it. Nobody else will exist in business, that's my prediction.
All right.
To answer your specific question, you can use it for correlation. When you have many outages or many tickets, look for threads between them that will help you solve 20 at once rather than 1. That's very practical, what you can go back and use today. I mean, the world he's talking about is maybe a bit idealistic and far out. What you can do today with AI is that.
My goal is to make money.
All right, so talking about money, actually, do you have a question? Yeah. Really quick, let's do it.
Hi, my name is Sridhar, and I'm with a company called Primera Capital, and we have a bunch of companies that are primarily focused on emerging markets. And when we focus on emerging markets, it's very hard for us to pick a player, either Amazon or Google or any other provider, because we're looking at many different countries, and some of these countries expect you to keep the data in the local region. And another aspect to this is cloud versus on-prem. So especially if you're in financial services, some of the smaller banks may be okay with putting stuff on the cloud, but some of the larger banks want to have a lot of their data on-prem. And so, some of the challenges that we've been facing is how do we build a solution that can be managed easily, where you can run on various cloud providers and can also work well on-prem and in the cloud, instead of having two different code bases, one for the cloud, one for on-prem. How do you solve this? And I think that's a problem that needs a solution, and I would love to get some input from the panel members on the right direction to solve this problem.
We actually support both models today, and I think the key is whoever your vendors are, whoever your partners are, need to have common code base that what you deploy on-prem is exact mirror of what's in a cloud production environment, and you keep those in sync. Unfortunately, there's a hybrid model there that you have to follow, but making sure both are identical code bases is sort of the key to success there.
So when we've tried to do that, the problem we run into is the cost of running it in the cloud is 3 times higher than having 2 separate code bases. So how do you manage, sort of your development cost optimization versus running it efficiently? Because otherwise your customers are paying 3 times the bill every month.
I mean, I have a contrarian view to what you said. I mean, you either make a dog or you make an elephant. You cannot get something that is a dog elephant, right? Pick who you're going to serve. Pick what you want to provide them. Pick one choice and go with it. I mean, we are, as a company, Sumo Logic runs in the cloud. If somebody wants on-prem, I'm sorry, we are not the right vendor for you. Muddu's old company, Splunk, is a good company for them. We are not the right company for you. But if you're Airbnb, if you're Twitter, if you're the next company that wants to build something in the cloud, we are the right company for you. Pick what you are good at. Pick one thing. Do it exceptionally well. Don't try to create this unicorn that doesn't solve one or other.
Yeah, I would
that's
agree.
The right way to go.
I would agree. If you're talking about emerging companies, small companies, you've got to go. You've got to do it as a service in the cloud, or you have to do it on-prem. And then as you grow, right, the market will dictate which way you're going to actually make all the money. But even the biggest banks in the world are making experiments in cloud. Exactly. No question, everybody's doing it. So they'll ultimately get there. And so. And there are good. Kubernetes. It sounds like I'm a Kubernetes poster child or fanboy, which I kind of am. But Kubernetes means that there are options on-prem and in the cloud, which makes it very, very extensible and portable.
And same for ServiceNow. If you want both, come to us.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Sudhakar.
couldn't resist.
Sudhakar, probably as an investor, you could wrap this up. For opportunities, particularly entrepreneurs in the crowd. To his question, what's your advice in terms of finding those opportunities?
I think so, there's no easy answer there. I was in New York recently, I always go there. So I think workloads are already moving to the cloud. Some workloads will be on-prem, but the cost that you calculate is you're not including the human cost to running it there. So once you do the overloaded cost, actually public cloud comes out cheaper than on-prem, because the salaries in New York City or in Bay Area are so high. It's a people cost is always beats the public cloud cost. So if you do a overall analysis, you'd come out still better with public cloud.
Excellent. Let's give a huge round of applause for my panel here. Thanks, guys.